Hey, welcome everybody. Thank you so much for watching this. Today we're going to talk a little bit about this citywide scholarship for the 2026 year. We're just going to talk a little bit about some common questions that you guys might have. We're going to start off by introducing everybody. My name is Lily, and I went to school with Riley in middle school and high school. We did speech and debate together, and through that, we spent a lot of time together, just getting to know each other. We had a lot of laughs together. We also took Spanish together, and so we kind of got to learn languages together, and we got to learn how to understand patterns and how to ask questions about people and how to demonstrate kindness through all of that. So now I want to introduce Courtney Whitelaw. She's going to talk a little bit about how she knows Riley.
Thank you, Lily. I'm, of course, Riley's mom. The reason why we are here today is I believe that Riley deserves the legacy that she deserves, and part of that is spreading kindness. And as her mom, it's my job to ensure that she gets to spread her kindness throughout our community.
I'm Austina Lee, and I taught at Air Academy while Riley was there. And I know Riley most through her mom, Courtney, and the kindness and joy and efforts and advocacy. And a fond memory that I have of Riley is the second day that she drove to school with her car, her steering wheel locked and she couldn't get it to not lock. And it was way after school because she had been there for color guard rehearsal and I was wandering around and she was wandering around. And anyway, between the two of us and our girl power, we were able to figure it out and get her home safely.
I'm Jeremy. I'm Riley's second cousin, and I got to know Riley mostly through a couple of trips I took to Colorado. When I was younger, I played tennis at the Air Academy. I made another special road trip out in 2019 with my friend. We were headed to New Orleans on a marketing competition, and we came from California and wanted to make a out-of-the-way pit stop in Colorado to enjoy some nature and spend some time with Court and Rye. And when we found out of her passing, we wanted to do something special, and so we organized a GoFundMe, which turned into a memorial fund, and the rest is history. So thank you, everyone, for being a part of this.
And I'm Matt Stewart, and I got the privilege of teaching Riley 8th grade at Eagleview Middle School. I was her social studies teacher. We had a lot of fun in U.S. history. Things I remember about Riley are just some of the creative projects that she did. One of my first kind of lasting memories of her is she created an inflatable tube man Halloween costume, and she was so proud of that. And that just kind of gave me a window into her creativity. And then I had the opportunity to take her and a group of students on a trip to Washington, D.C. And any student that I get to do that with, I just share a special bond of educational travel. And I've just since then stayed really close contact with her and Courtney. And so I'm just so happy to be a part of this. Yes.
Thank you so much for sharing a little bit about yourselves and about Riley. Now that we know a bit about Riley and about the people who are making this scholarship possible, I would love to hear a little bit about the inspiration behind this particular scholarship. I would love to know who it's for and who can apply.
So the inspiration behind this citywide scholarship was always our goal was to spread our wings, so to speak, spread Riley's wings, so to speak. To capture the whole community, because the community sort of gave us a lot of love, and it's our job to give back in that way and ensure that Riley gets the legacy that I know that she deserves, that I know that she would want to take care of others and capture as many students as we can in offering scholarships and grants. And this is a big one for us. It does require a little bit more work for students to complete and a lot more thought. And our vision is probably to capture students that look a lot like Riley in the kind acts that they give back to our community.
So you mentioned a little bit that this is going to be a project that will take some more thought and some more time. Can you guys speak into how long this project should take or what a student applying for the scholarship should aim for in terms of the scope, maybe how many people should be involved, how long it should take, any other similar ideas?
I would start with some of the scholarship application questions regarding the project. I think they create a great framework. So just like a good outline or checklist that your teacher provides you for a project or a paper can kind of give you the framework. I think that's a good starting place. Think of school-wide projects that are put on by a student council. Those take a scope of some planning, some organizing of maybe some adults and community members, with an end goal in mind, and those tend to have sort of a natural timeline of that exists. And if you struggle with timelines and you're somebody that thinks really big and grand and need some help having that project be brought down to earth a little bit, I encourage you to just be resourceful. Talk with your leadership coordinators at your school, community members that help organize things in the clubs and organizations that you're a part of. And part of this is being open to coaching. Riley was such a coachable kid. And so being coachable and seeking out advice from people is a really great starting place. So to kind of answer the question, this is something that, should require some forethought. People can guide you towards timeliness of this project.
Yeah, thank you for that. So you mentioned kind of seeking that support. One of the aspects of this scholarship is that there are 2 rounds to the application process, and those second round applicants are invited to participate in a second interview as well as to receive feedback. So can you kind of speak into the feedback that you guys will offer and also just anything else related to this 2-round process?
So because of the subjective nature of the projects and how they're unique to each individual applying, we want this to be a collaborative process. So our idea with the second interview is to engage in dialogue with the applicant, to be able to share any insights or encourage or ideas or ask further questions to help support the project. And also, as Matt just mentioned, to invite questions from the applicant regarding the process so that they know that they have our support moving forward and can finish the application with confidence.
This is an opportunity to help all projects achieve that high quality that you might be aiming for with a core group of loving community members that just want to be your cheerleaders.
If there was a project that a student did in the past that they think fulfilled the requirements, would they be able to use that? Or does it have to be a project that is current or that you do specifically for this scholarship?
I think that in the past, if you've completed a project that fulfills the scope of this project very well, it can be used as long as it's an ongoing project that, again, fits into the framework that we've set up for you. However, if you haven't done something in the past, or if some of the scope of this project is very niche and detailed and you think that maybe you should start something from scratch, we would recommend that over an existing project.
What if you had a project that you thought you could modify that had started in the past but was continuing and you felt like you could tweak it a little bit so it better fit these requirements? Could you use that?
I think so, especially if it involves a lot of community involvement, yes.
And just to add, I would say we're really looking for students that are doing something during their senior year. If you're questioning like, well, I started this in my sophomore year and I've kept it going, please reach out to us and we can talk about it.
So say that there were a couple of people working together on this scholarship and I wasn't the only leader. Could that still work okay? Or does it have to be something that's really only student led by one person?
We really encourage collaboration, and in the spirit of community and spreading kindness, I think that can be a huge part of that. However, the scholarship will be awarded to one person. So we would just recommend that if you are doing this with others, that your communication is clear, that you have applied for this scholarship. While we're happy for you to lead with others, we encourage you to also communicate and take responsibility for the scholarship application aspects of it.
Okay, that makes sense. It kind of clarifies that while you're able to work with other people on a project, it really should be something that you're leading and that you're spearheading, and that when you're applying for this scholarship, it's just you who's applying. So one of the important things to the Riley at Whitelaw Memorial fund and to this scholarship is social justice advocacy. Can you guys kind of define what that looks like and what that means?
So social justice to me comes down to equity and access. Riley, she's such an empath. She's so good about giving voice to others, to her peers who she would notice, but maybe kind of flew under the radar.
Riley is a justice warrior. She always found the little injustices, or she found situations where someone wasn't treated fairly and recognized it. I think Courtney feels that in her bones also, and as do I. With this scholarship, we wanted to spread that kindness in a way to where you can initiate a project where you can do the same thing and maybe alleviate some of that injustice in the world.
And really, it's about taking care of one another at the end of the day.
I remember teaching Riley the Constitution, and the things that she was so passionate about were the equality elements of the Constitution. Yeah, if a project has a way to uplift others, to seek it, find a need in the community where somebody might be struggling, and find a way to call that out and make a positive change. Because the thing our shirts all say kindness matters, but I would also, maybe modify the shirt to say that kindness is contagious. And if you're able to do this, people see kindness as something that's manageable and something that they're willing to pass on.
I think, naturally people gravitated towards Riley because she was this kind empath. These are projects that hopefully are contagious, and take care of others.
This scholarship is for 4 years, but what if I ended up graduating from college a year early, in 3 years instead of 4? Would I only receive $7,500 of that money? Would I receive the remaining $2,500 for that last year? Can you just explain how that would work?
The student would have to demonstrate that, hey, I'm going to finish this program in 3 years instead of 4, and then we can talk about a different payment schedule. Or if they're planning on going to get maybe their master's, we can pay for 1 year of that master's, like we can add that $2,500. So that would be kind of the 4th year. We've talked a little bit about, well, you could choose to donate the $2,500 to an organization that you feel good about. I will say that it would have to be board approved. And so those are things that we can kind of work out in the event that those things happen.
With the timeline, there's a reflection on the project that would be due in April. But what if I was working on my project and I knew it wasn't going to be completed by then? Would I still be able to apply for this, or would it just, if it was too long, could I not apply?
I think that we would definitely encourage students to apply if they're working on a project that may be finishing in the beginning of May. As we discuss this, we want to be able to distribute this and celebrate the student before they graduate and head off to all the wonderful things they might be doing in the summer. And so there might be a chance that you're finishing up a project, and I would just kind of treat that like you would in a classroom, where you should be pretty far down the road with your project. And just like you might with a teacher, you could say, I'm working on this, but it's not completed today. Here's all the work that I have done right now, and here's when I plan to have the rest of it completed, so that we have a sense of what to expect with this. And maybe, because a lot of these, we want to be able to see the projects in action and be able to celebrate those with the kids.
What if it's a project that you don't think you'll be needing any funding for?
There in the application is a portion where you outline the budget for the project. And if your project does not require a budget, then we would just encourage you in that section to indicate why, and we can follow up with any questions that we have.
It seems like in general, a lot of these requirements are really, really great recommendations. And while we do want you to follow them, there are cases where these won't work for everybody. Like we said, we don't want this to be a cookie cutter project. And so if there is something that's a little different from the requirements, we just really want you to reach out to us and communicate with us. We don't want you to be scared away from this. We want it to be something that you're involved with and excited about. We require these measurable impact examples. Can you give some examples of measurable impact, what those are?
This could be that if you're raising money for something, that you keep track. This is the money that we raised. this is where the money is going. If it's something that involves volunteers, like think of a blood drive. If you're keeping track of how many students participated in the drawing of blood, having a portion of your project and a mindfulness of, I want to measure this thing and what it is that I did, and to be able to show that. I think it kind of shows the proof of your effort.
If I was a student who won a full ride to a 4-year university, so I didn't need any scholarship money, but I still won this scholarship, what would happen with that money?
So it is my understanding that even if you win or you get a full ride scholarship, but you got other scholarships in addition to your full ride, what typically happens is we make that payment to the school and it drops the overall amount of that full ride scholarship because it's getting covered in other ways. So one way or another, our payments go directly to the school and the school disperses it however they see fit to your account.
If I was participating in this scholarship, regardless of whether or not I win, would that count as volunteer hours for something else? And would you guys be willing to sign off on hours that I spent as a volunteer?
That's a really good question and really important as some of you guys are going into college. The answer is yes. If you can prove that this was a project that was initiated by you and your peers, and those peers had significant involvement of the project, absolutely, we'll sign off on those.
One thing you mentioned is that you need to be able to prove that it was something that you and your peers initiated or were involved in. Can you speak a little bit into what that proof might look like?
On that.
It can either be your parent or it can also be teachers, or maybe you're working within your church. And there is sort of somebody that's been working alongside you at your church. As long as they can verify it, we're happy to sign off on whatever needs to be signed off on.
But can you just refresh us on how these funds will be dispersed to the scholarship recipient and what will happen if they transfer schools or if they decide that maybe college isn't for them and they start to pursue something else?
We always pay directly to the college or university that you are going to. So it is your responsibility to make sure that you give us the correct financial aid information so that we can make those payments. It's also the scholarship awardee's responsibility to, if they transfer, to let us know where they're transferring to, so that we can make the correct payment to that institution. And then if you decide to either take a year off or you decide that's not really working for me, we will work with you. It may take some effort to work out a plan. It may require that we go back to our board and say whether we're going to approve that or not.
What if I had won the scholarship and it was getting paid for my college and then something happened and I ended up like not even completing a full semester? Would I have to somehow reimburse you for that money?
If the money has already been dispersed to the school, you would not have to reimburse us, especially if it's like a life event that is out of your control. Now,
Thank you so much. Was there anything else that anybody wanted to add about what the meaning of this scholarship is, or any logistical aspects of it, what you guys might be looking for from applicants to make them stand out, or any advice you might have?
Authenticity. Be authentic. Be yourself.
And this is a project that should feel good to you. It shouldn't feel like a ton of work. This should like fill your cup while you're also filling other people's cups as well. That is the goal. That would be what Riley wants. Riley would not want you to have to it shouldn't weigh you down.
If you guys have any questions as you're filling this out, please feel free to reach out to us. We really want to help you and encourage you. And we want to say that we're proud of you for working on this scholarship and we wish you all the luck. Thank you so much.